What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hangout spot where you already know it's real talk, boxing talk. Live from my man cave. It's your boy Johnny, and I'm your host for another edition of the Hangout Spot Live. This time, the Tuesday night edition. And I just want to thank everybody for rocking out with me last week. We did two shows last week. We had two great guests. We had super featherweight prospect, undefeated Dominic Valle. He was in the building. He fights under the Pro Box banner, and he will be fighting on May 10th in Kissimmee, Florida, on the undercard of Erickson Lubin versus Ardrell Holmes for an IBF title eliminator at 154. Great interview. And we also had Thomas Cornflake Lamana on Thursday, who you guys know I rock with. He's family here at the Hangout Spot. He actually spoke about his altercation or his verbal altercation with Jamal Charlo on that virtual press conference. So if you guys have not seen any of those shows, make sure you go to the Hangout Spot and you check them out on YouTube while you are there. Make sure you subscribe, and more importantly, pick up the telephone and tell a friend to subscribe. We are trying to turn this train into a locomotive in 2025 and beyond. And if you're watching this live on YouTube, man, we got a banging show in store for you. We got my man up in the building. We've had him in here before. Prospect, 154-pound prospect who just won about a week and a half ago in spectacular fashion. He's now undefeated, 5-0. Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith from Louisville, Kentucky is going to be joining us in just a second. We're going to get his perspective on his victory, and we're also going to break down some fights, man. I mean, this past weekend, we had a banger with Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. That did not disappoint. Chris Eubank Jr. wins round one. Who knows if there's going to be a round two and possibly a trilogy? We don't know. We will talk about that and break that down. And let's not forget, this weekend, we have a banging fight weekend in store. Friday, we got Times Square, New York City, Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero headlining, Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez, Teofimo Lopez, Arnold Barboza. That's going to be incredibly insane. We'll break down and predict some of those fights as well as Canelo. Canelo's back in action in Saudi Arabia on Saturday, trying to go for undisputed for a second time at 168 against IBF title holder William Skull. We also have the return of the monster Naoya Inoue returning to the USA. He's going to be fighting on Sunday, so there's hella stuff going on. But like I said, you know the ground rules. Smash that like button if you're watching this live on YouTube. And if you're also watching this live on Facebook, make sure you smash that like button. And come on over to YouTube, man. That's why that way you can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, man. This is how we doing it up here at the Hangout Spot. Last but not least, you guys know the deal. The live chat is always open. And if you want to send a brother a donation, the super chat option, super sticker option is definitely there for you. And my Cash App is down below, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you want to get a question in for my guests, again, I love to read through the chats, but sometimes the chats is cooking so much and I can't decipher and pay attention to the guests and kind of sift through to see what questions are actually questions and not comments. So if you want to make sure that you get a question across for Ebenezer Stuntman Griffin, make sure you hit the super chat button, because I do see those as a starred message. So I'll make sure I read those. But without further ado, like I said, man, we've had him here before, and I intend on having him again in the future as he continues to grow. Unanimous decision victory on the 19th in front of a home crowd. So without further ado, I want to bring in my guy, Ebenezer Stuntman Griffin. What's going on, champ? Welcome back to the Hangout Spot, man.
What's up, y'all, man? The intro got me teed up, bro. I love you was in a shadow boxer, man. Look like you might know what's song.
I try, man. I try. I'm old, but I try to, keep up with the times or whatever. I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. You know how we do it up here, man. We know how we do it up here. We try to get the guest up in here so we can get the audience hyped. They've already come out in the chat. But what's going on, man? Last time I had you up in here was in February, and you had come off a victory in your hometown in Kentucky. This time, again, you had another fight in front of your home crowd, Louisville, Kentucky, where you are from. I know you are proud to be from Louisville, Kentucky. I see your boy Muhammad Ali, the GOAT, in the background. That picture, and I know that you have hopes of being the next Muhammad Ali in Louisville, Kentucky. But this time out, again, pretty dominant unanimous decision victory against Jeremiah Scott in front of your hometown and improved to 5-0. So talk to me, champ. How did it feel to get that dub again in front of your home crowd?
Man, dog, it felt incredible. I'm not gonna lie. I remember when I was on here last time, I was telling you like just how excited I was and just how ready I was to see all my family. see my friends, everybody from that I grew up with from school. Man, it honestly lived up to the hype and then some. Just like the whole event was, the whole weekend was just incredible, man. Getting to fight in front of my idol, Roy Jones Jr. Man, I remember being 13, 14 years old, in the amateurs and literally pulling up on my phone before like probably my first like 20 amateur fights, man. Like literally looking up before every fight in the locker room, Roy Jones Jr. highlights on YouTube and just like watching him knock out people with that left hook. It was truly special, just like getting to fight in front of him, and just try to showcase my skills. I got that feeling like you get as a little kid when when you got somebody watching you try to show out. So it was incredible, man.
That's dope. That's dope. I do want to get into the Roy Jones thing in a second, but a couple of questions before we get to that. Do you feel any added pressure? Again, you're a young fighter and you're fighting in front of family, friends. Is there any like extra added pressure? Like what's it like going into the ring in those moments, man?
No, not at all. I know this is sounding like disingenuous, but it really is the truth, man. I don't feel any pressure, like any added pressure fighting in front of my family. Um, it goes back to preparation, obviously, but also they're the reason I do this. I love fighting in front of my family. I love fighting in front of my friends, because they all get. I don't live in Kentucky right now. I live and train in Denver, Colorado. Training in the altitude and just living in the altitude is a huge benefit. So I don't necessarily get to see them as often as I would like. And when I was in the amateurs, man, they always loved like coming and watching me fight, and I feed off of their energy. Like I love it when like my brothers are there. They're cheering. They're definitely saying a few choice words to my opponent. And man, just having like my sisters there and my nieces and nephews, and man, every time I fight in the city, it really is a family affair, and just like I really do feel the love, man. I enjoy it so much.
Again, that's dope, man, because there's a lot of pressure, right? You want to shout out, you want to make sure that you put together a spectacular performance. And we've seen fighters in the past that are much more experienced than you have trouble,
Yeah,
fighting in front of their home crowd. So I give you a lot of credit for that. How do you rate this
yeah.
performance though? If you had to rate this performance, because I know you're very, very critical to yourself, how would you rate this performance?
I give myself a A minus, um,
Okay.
B plus, or like a B plus plus. It was obviously unanimous decision. I won every round. Um, but like you said, man, I am hypercritical of myself, and there were definitely some things that me and my coaches, like me and my whole team, we came together, and once we were able to like break down the film, we're like, okay, I could have done this here, and I could have done this here, and I should have done this. And being in those meetings when you're together, and everybody's like railing on you, being like, why do you do this? It could definitely be frustrating sometimes, but I love it, man. It also helps to keep me humble, and to make sure that I'm not feeling myself too much. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence, he had a quote in one of the All Accesses. He was talking to Micah Parsons, before the Ugas fight, I want to say, and he had just gotten done sparring, and Derrick James, he came up to him and he said, "You look like crap, bro." And then Earl was just like sitting there on the side of the ring. But Earl's a world champion, unified at this point, and like
I
Derrick
remember
James
that.
comes up to him, he's like, "You look like crap." And Earl Spence just sits there in silence for like 5 minutes, like just reflecting, like deep introspection. Um, and he tells Micah Parsons, he's like, "That's what you need." He's like, "You need somebody that's gonna tell you like, hey, tighten up, like, hey, that wasn't it, or like, hey, I expect more out of you." And my coaches do it from like a place of love because they want to see me be successful. They want to see me succeed. So like whenever they're critical or um, offering like words of advice, I always take it to heart because I know that they're not necessarily doing it out of like contempt or like out of animosity. It's always from a place of love and like they want what's best for me. So I'm gonna listen.
No, that's great. That's great. Absolutely. I knew you'd be critical of yourself, but I saw your performance, man.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good things you did. Good body work, really good
yeah.
uppercut, man. Was that an emphasis for
Thank
you
you.
this fight, the uppercut?
um, the uppercut's always been one of my best punches. Even in the amateurs, bro. I remember like being in the amateurs and like cracking kids with the uppercut. But for this fight specifically, me and my coach, it wasn't a punch that we necessarily worked a lot. We worked the lead uppercut a lot, but that rear uppercut, I feel like was super effective in the fight. We knew he was going to come forward, and we knew that okay, feint. This was like a lot of the game plan. My coach was telling me like feint him and get him thinking you're going to stick, and then when you don't stick and he jumps in, step back and shoot the shot. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a timing shot than just raw power and like I'm gonna knock you out with this shot. It's more of a timing shot. And the way you land it is by not telegraphing it, by having a good poker face, keeping your chin down and like moving around, moving your head, making them think you're going to come with a different shot. And then when they do jump in, like having the mental fortitude and the confidence in your defense and the confidence in your timing to be able to step back and deliver the load.
That's such an effective punch for you, man. That's why I mean I saw it, and it's an explosive shot. Your
Yeah.
defense and your footwork is really good as well, and you changed levels. Again, I if I had to give you a grade, I would have gave you an A as well. I
Thank
mean,
you,
there's
bro.
just so many good things that you did in that
Yeah.
fight in just your fifth fight.
Yeah.
But so talk to me a little bit. I know you mentioned Roy Jones. So was this the
Yeah.
first time that you fought on a Roy Jones promotion? This was Roy Jones promoted that put this card together. Is that correct?
Yes. It was Roy Jones Jr. Promotions, and the guy I was the co-main event. The guy who was the main event, Price Sparrow, it was his pro debut.
Mhm,
Me and him
mhm.
came up in the amateurs together, man. Like we used to like be at the same gym sparring together, and like Price is my guy, man. He's a great young fighter. His pro debut, he showed out. His opponent was like 7-1 or like 7-0-1 as like a pro debut guy. He took on that task and he showed out, man. But yeah, it was my first time fighting with Roy Jones Jr. Promotions. Um, man, just like I loved the way the show was put together. Everything from like the media, um, how much media was there because it's Roy Jones Jr. So everywhere he goes, he
Right,
draws a crowd. It's like Deion
right.
Sanders.
No,
He's
it's
the
a good
Deion of the
platform. It was
sport.
a really good platform. I was excited the last time you told me that you were gonna fight under that platform. I was excited for you because I knew that there would be a lot of media attention there for you, and this is what you want at
Yeah,
this point in your career. Did you get a chance to get some FaceTime with him, and did he
yeah,
get a
yeah.
chance to talk to you about your performance? Talk to me about that, man, because that's big time, bro. We talking about a legend here.
Yeah, man. Like, dog, Roy Jones was, he was one of my idols growing up. But the thing that impressed me the most about Roy Jones was how humble he was. My grandpa used to always say he used to call people like that humble giants, right? So they're these massive like figures that they people that you look up to, right? And there's somebody that you expect to be like this lofty person who's like, you look at them, you have star eyes, you know what I'm saying? Um, but like when I met Roy, he was just so humble, and my grandpa calls people like that humble giants because you expect them to be one way, and then when they show up and they like have such like humility, it was just like incredibly inspiring. That he lived up to the expectation, like and then some. But man, I remember me and him got to talk for about 30 minutes. Before weigh-ins, and we were just in the back chopping it up, and we talked about everything from like faith, family, like life growing up. He grew up in Florida, and we were just talking about like different things in our past that like kind of relate to each other, and it was super cool just having that one-on-one time, and getting to talk to him, which I know sounds like crazy, but like he really was that guy to me growing up, and so it was super, incredibly like inspiring moment to have.
This is a part of the journey, man. This is a part of the journey and these little steps that you're never gonna forget, along the way. So I'm excited for you, man. I really am, man. That was big time. And I know that you've talked in the past about your experiences with Andre Ward, which is also an
Right.
idol of yours. So it
Yeah.
only gets bigger and better from here. Do you expect to fight on another one of his promotions again? I did look at BoxRec, and BoxRec has you down for a date in June. Are you gonna be back in action in June?
Yes. So again, I'm back in action in June. I think last time that I was on your podcast, we talked about how much it meant to me, like fighting in front of my hometown. And kind
Mhm.
of like for the
Yeah.
reason that I previously stated, but also just I love when fighters go back to their hometown and fight. like Terrence Crawford and like Keyshawn Davis just did, and like Shakur Stevenson, being able to go back to your hometown and like inspire people, being able to look people in the eye and say, hey, I come from where you come from. I've stopped at these same street lights. I've walked these same roads. I've gone to these same events that you grew up going to. I want you to look at like my story and see a path for you to make it to where I am, or see a path out of whatever situation that you're in. And I really do love that, man, that, being able to fight back in my hometown so much, and just the love and the embracing that the city does for me, man. It's incredible.
Dope. Is that next fight? So that next fight is going to be back in your hometown again?
Yes.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. There wasn't an opponent there, so obviously they haven't found an opponent for you. But
Right.
I'm excited for you, man. Another step,
Right.
man, towards towards that title shot in the future. Going for your
Yes,
sixth
absolutely.
win in a row, man. It only gets bigger and better from here. I am here with Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith, 154-pound prospect, who's now 5-0 undefeated. He's in the building. He's family, man. So y'all got to show him love, man. We got the chat that's coming out. Eddie Alvarez, what's going on, man? Thanks for rocking out with us here, my brother, on a Tuesday night here at the Hangout spot. We got Keenan Lofton. What's going on, champ? Thanks for rocking out with us here. We got my man Jersey Bob. What's going on, Jersey Bob? What's up, Johnny? I see you working yesterday in the gym. Yeah. I was actually in the gym yesterday at the Pro Box facility over here at Plant City.
Putting in
And I
some
just
work, or were you there with the mic?
nah. I wasn't
Okay,
putting
okay,
in no
okay.
work. I was watching Erickson the Hammer Lubin put in some work, and also light heavyweight prospect Najee Lopez, who's both going to be fighting on that May 10th card. Kissimmee, Florida. For those of you guys that don't know, Pro Box is putting together a great card headlined by Erickson the Hammer Lubin, who is a 154-pound title contender in your division. He's going to be fighting in a title eliminator against undefeated Ardrell Holmes. So I actually got to see some sparring. He's looking very, very sharp, and we did a nice interview that I have not dropped yet, but I will be dropping it on the Hangout spot probably tomorrow. So I'll make sure you guys all subscribe once I drop that so you can check it out. It was a fantastic interview. He gets really, really in depth about not just this fight, but his career up to this point, man. He really opened up. So you guys are definitely going to want to see that. We also interviewed Najee Lopez as well, who's a undefeated light heavyweight prospect who's 13-0 with 10 knockouts. Again, another interview at the Hangout spot. Make sure you guys subscribe. But yeah, man, we were doing it up. We got outside the box thinking is in the building. Shout out to all the chat jumpers. What's going on? I guess there's other shows out there. Oh, Wizard, what's going on, bro? Salute to you. There you go. Outside the box, you listen to both Johnny and Two Tone. So I guess Two Tone is probably on live. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you. Oh, Wizard, my brother. Yes, sir. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Yes, right. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button on Facebook. Do the same and come over to YouTube and subscribe to the Hangout spot. This is how we do it up here. And continue. We got my man Team Sly. We got my man McCall in the building. What's going on? And he also wants to salute the Stuntman. You know how we do it up. We got
Brother,
Ebenezer
appreciate that.
with Superwoman 607. My sister's in the building. We got Pink Carl 6. Welcome back, Stuntman. So she was here for the
Good to
last
be
one.
back. Good to be back.
That's right. You always welcome, man. You family, man. This ain't you're gonna be coming back here all the time, man. You're gonna be a regular because I love the way your breakdown of fights, the way you recap them, the way we preview, and that's gonna be what we're gonna be doing next in just a second. We got my man Toledo Treese in the building from the Boxing Voice. What's going on? He's got a question. Would you take a fight in the neighboring state of Ohio, or are you going farther down south?
Man, I grew up in Kentucky. I fought so much in Ohio, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland. I fought so many different fighters from there. And then further south, I fought so many guys in Nashville, Knoxville, Atlanta. So I'm not opposed to either one, but it's something special about the state of Kentucky, man. It really is. I think last time I told you just how much like life there was in the state of Kentucky, man. And being in
You did.
Kentucky, for my fight was just so inspiring, but also like gave me a boost of just like energy that I haven't had in so long. Being in that Kentucky air, seeing the blue grass, seeing just like being in that humid air, being around so much just like life, man, all the animals, all the different people, man, it really was just so fulfilling to go back. And
Nah, that's what's up.
that's where I definitely want to keep fighting out of for sure.
Amazing, man. I can see the passion when you talk about it. It's special to me, man. The way I can see it, man. Like it's not for
You got to
real,
go to
man. That's for
Kentucky,
real.
bro. It's something you have to
For
see for
real.
yourself. Like
I
that
gotta go there
real,
when
like.
you fight, man. I gotta get a credential and go there for one of your fights, man. So I could
Let's
go there
run
and I
that.
could cover it and I could support, you know what I mean? Get some
Yeah,
footage. That's gonna be dope. That's gonna be
absolutely,
really
brother.
dope. We're gonna make that happen. We're gonna make
Yeah,
that happen.
100%.
For sure, for sure. We got my man True Power Media in the building. What's going on? Salute to you, champ. That's right. Make sure y'all hit the like buttons. And we also have a question. What inspired him to be a fighter? What inspired you to be a fighter? I think I might have asked him that, but go ahead, man. Take it away, champ. I think I asked you that the last show we did.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, I first started boxing in 2013, 2012. My dad brought me to the boxing gym that my older brother had been fighting at, and man, I remember it's one of those old school like white brick buildings, just like you could feel the weight of the building. You know what I'm saying? Just like one of those buildings. So my dad brings me to the gym, and as soon as we walk in, keep in mind, I was one of those kids that would never sit still, bro. Like I was, always bouncing off the walls, had way too much energy, didn't know what to do with it. Just never would shut up. I was always running my mouth. I still do the same thing, but we're not going to talk about that. um, so my dad brings me to this gym, and as soon as I come in, he goes over to the trainer, James Doolin. He starts talking to him, shaking his hand, things like that. And there's these two kids in the ring, and they're sparring. And my whole life, I'd always been taught to keep my hands to myself, and that I wasn't supposed to put them on other people. And as I'm watching these two kids sparring, they're like my age, 11, 12 years old, and they're in the ring like being technical. They're not like in there brawling, but they're in there showing like skill, and they're actually boxing. And for the first time in my life, I was quiet. I remember standing there just like mesmerized, like looking at them, because it was something so foreign to me, and it seemed so interesting. And my dad didn't even have to ask if I wanted to box. He already knew the answer. It truly was like love at first sight, just that real, authentic love that you can't replicate. It was just a feeling I can't describe.
That's real. That's absolutely real. I
Real
love
as
it,
it
man.
gets,
I
brother.
love it.
Steak and potatoes for life.
There you go. There you go. We got Toledo again, man. Since you're fighting in Kentucky, have you been contacted for a sponsorship from a bourbon company? Okay.
I don't drink. I'm a Christian. I'm a child of God. I
Well,
don't
you
I
can
don't I
you
don't
can
drink.
still sponsor. No, you won't sponsor if you don't drink. You won't sponsor.
um, it's not something that I necessarily would want to promote.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who Dude Perfect is. But
Nah.
so Dude Perfect, these guys on all pretty much all social media platforms. They started in like 2009, but they do like all the crazy trick shots and like basketball hoops, all the crazy like golf trick shots. Um,
Yeah, I
but
think I know who you're talking about.
but one thing that they spoke about when they first started, they said that they got a sponsorship opportunity from Coors Light, and and this is when they had like 25,000 subscribers, so they weren't necessarily like it's four of them, so they weren't necessarily like making that much um, money, and the sponsorship that Coors had offered them it wasn't insignificant. And they all got together and they talked, and they were like, no, we're going to turn it down. And the reason they turned it down is because it just didn't align with their values. And one of the guys, he was literally talking about this like last year. I was watching one of their videos, and he was saying like how many parents of like kids have came up to him, and like they've been like, thank you guys so much for not like cussing, and like not drinking, and not using like profanity, and not like using like sexual innuendos, because like I can trust my kids with their iPad to watch you guys and not have to worry. And just like the person who I am, that's not something that I do, and it's not something that I would really want to like promote. um and it doesn't align with like my values. Like my values are to inspire people, not to like lead people to addiction, and like things like that. I want to inspire people, man. I want to be a voice of the youth, a voice of the people, and I really want to like show people that they can be a better version of themselves, that they can go to places they never thought that they would be able to go to.
That's real, man. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. And I totally respect that, man. I totally respect that. But speaking of sponsorships, man, I want to tell all of y'all, man, make sure y'all go to whatsyourhustle.com. my sponsorship, man. They got some fly gear, boxing, MMA stuff. I mean, all combat sports, t-shirts, hats, joggers, some dope shit. In fact, if y'all want to cop this t-shirt right here, the Tank Davis, I just got my hair done 2 days ago. T-shirt. Make sure y'all go to whatsyourhustle.com and cop it. And while you're there, man, make sure you go and hit discount code the Hangout Spot in capital letters. You get 15% off your order. I'm telling you, man, they doing it up, man. I thought that was a good opportunity to kind of slide in the whole
Yeah.
sponsorship thing because you were
Yeah,
talking about. So
absolutely.
ask you a question about yours, but I want to ask you a question because we were
Yeah.
speaking a little bit offline about this whole Tank situation, and I noticed that you had braids. You
Yeah.
had braids on for this last fight, but you
Yeah.
don't have
So
them now. Did you have one of those experiences that Tank had? What? I
yes,
just got my
bro.
hair done 2 days ago and something got in your eye. What's going on? Talk to me about that, Champ.
Yeah, we were talking, obviously before we went live, and I literally had that experience that Tank had. Um, so for most of my fights, I usually have like like a little afro or something like that. Um, but for this last fight, I decided to get my hair like cornrows before the fight, like the day before, right after
Cornrows,
weigh-ins.
right, right.
I got my hair braided, and I remember I get out of the ring and I'm like pouring sweat still. 6 round fight, so I wasn't in there for too long. But I get out of the ring and I'm like still pouring sweat. And I'm over there doing the interview with like two of the news companies. And they I'm not capping. Y'all could go find the clip because it was live. They were live on the news. And I come over here and I'm doing my interview. I'm talking and I love to yap, so I was able to speak it in Japanese. And all of a sudden my eyes started burning, bro. And I was like, I couldn't open my eyes. My coach is like pouring water on my face, like wiping my face with a towel. It was like all the grease from my hair, bro. It had dripped down from because like I was sweating so much. And as soon as like I started like talking and like nodding and stuff like that, it got in my eyes, bro. And like I couldn't see. My coach is like pouring water on my face, trying to get me back to normal, bro. It was brutal. So I definitely feel Javante on
So my man, what my man Stuntman is saying is Tank wasn't capping, bro.
he wasn't
Tank was
capping.
not capping, bro. He just got his hair done. He
Yeah,
had grease, or Tank said,
yeah.
"I got grease in my shit." I don't know what y'all doing. So there you go, man. I thought that was it. When we talked about that.
Yeah.
That was funny. I knew I needed to bring that up, man. Yo, cop y'all t-shirts, bro. Cop
I
y'all
just got my
t-shirts at
hair done
What's
two
Your Hustle.
days ago.
Did you get your hair done 2 days before that fight, or one
No,
day
I got
before
it
that
done
fight?
the day before, like right
The
after
day
weigh-in.
before.
Yeah. I'll probably never do that. Like, if I get it done again, it'll be like 4 days before, something like that. So
Okay. I was just gonna ask you, with that whole
yeah.
experience, will you do braids again, or will you just scrap that whole thing and just stay natural?
I mean, I like the way it looks, so
You like the way
I'll
it
probably
looks?
do it again. But yeah, we're gonna have to figure something out.
That's what's up, man. I had to bring that up. Make sure y'all check out whatsyourhustle.com. My man Johnny Dela Cruz is doing it up over there. He's the owner. And make sure you use the discount code, the Hangout Spot, at checkout for 15%
Oof,
off of your order. We are here with my man,
it's better.
undefeated prospect Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith, who's now 5-0, coming off his victory on the 19th. And I look forward to seeing you back in the ring in June. We will talk about that later on. I'll get you back on maybe before that or even after that again. Like I said, you family. But let's talk a little bit about this past weekend, man, because I hit you up, man. We hit each other up after this fight because I know
Yeah.
how you love boxing. And I thought it was a great fight. I thought it was a great fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. It didn't disappoint. The undercard, very, very underwhelming. But the main event definitely lived up to the hype. This was a grudge match, much anticipated. A lot of people were saying that obviously it was going to be a bigger fight over in the UK than in the United States, but I don't know. I felt something about that rivalry, so I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And Chris Eubank Jr. wins that fight by unanimous decision. So, Champ, I want to get your take on that, man. What do you think? What did you think of that fight? And did they get the decision right?
They definitely got the decision right. We'll get that out of the way first.
Okay.
It was a good fight. Um, but man, I loved how the fight lived up to the build up. the buildup was crazy with like
It was
Eubank
insane.
Jr. slapping an egg in his. I think I texted you after that happened.
Yes,
I was like,
yes.
bro, this buildup is insane or something like that.
And you
But like,
know I love me a build-up. Like I tell my
yeah,
viewers all the
yeah,
time, I've told you, like I love the press conferences where it gets spicy. To me, that just gets me more hype into what I could expect on fight night. You know what I mean? But you did
right.
text me, so the build-up was crazy. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But to have like the fight live up to the buildup, because a lot of times we'll see like these massive buildups and they don't necessarily like live up to the hype. And I think it kind of like turns fans off a little bit. But this fight was it was good. It really was. It was just a good night of like old fashioned boxing, man. If you want like more of like a technical breakdown, man, it was I think the weight cut showed so much with Chris Eubank Jr. Um, and guys, a weight cut can affect you in like several different ways. So a
So
lot a
break
lot of
that down,
times,
champ. Break down that weight cut because, and I'm
yeah,
sorry for cutting you off. Break down that
you're
weight
fine.
cut because there were a lot of people that were concerned that this was going to be too drastic of a of a too drastic of a weight cut for Eubank. There was videos that were surfacing even 2 days before that. I mean, he was killing himself to make weight. So break that down. What you mean by that whole weight cut situation?
Right, guys. So like when fighters are cutting weight, we always say that there's two different fights for something to go on your record, right? Well, really, there's three. There's the training camp, there's the weight cut, and then there's the actual fight. Now, the training camp and the weight cut can be like a lot of times those can be your toughest opponents, because like you have all your sparring partners and you really want the sparring to be as tough or if not tougher than the fight. You're restricting your calories, you're working with nutritionists, you're putting in, three workouts a day sometimes, and all in the effort to prepare your body, to prepare mentally, to condition your mind. And then when it comes time for the actual weight cut, um, weight cutting as a fighter is treacherous. It's one of the most treacherous things in all of sports. It's something that's unnatural, um, to get your body to that low of a weight and to deprive yourself of like key nutrients, especially water. When we weigh in, we go into the weigh-ins at like a ultra dehydrated state. It's almost like a shell of ourselves. And for Chris Eubank Jr., his weight cut was just a lot tougher than most fighters because like he said, he belongs at 168 now. He's an older guy and having to whittle his body all the way down to 160, it was rough, man. And I think we really noticed, excuse me, I think we really noticed how much of a toll it took on him. I peeped this as soon as like when he was in the locker room and he's like chugging water. That showed me one, he still wasn't hydrated, and then he got in the ring and he was still like asking his coaches for more water. And then right after the ref told him to touch gloves and go back to your corner, he leaned out of the ring and asked his coach for more water. And it wasn't like he was just like wetting his mouth. He was actually like drinking water. That showed me that he was still dealing with like some level of like dehydration. And a lot of times we'll see it in the fight where a fighter comes out and they're stiff, right? Because your joints aren't hydrated. It takes a while to get that hydration back into your joints. You can hydrate your muscles and things like that, but hydrating back into your joints, like Chris Eubank, when he came out, he was dry and he looked stiff. And a lot of times we see it with fighters when they struggle with like a weight cut. You'll see it early and then you'll also see it really late. Their legs diminish. They have no like mental sharpness. And I think we saw both of those from Chris Eubank Jr. A lot of times with fighters, you'll see one or you'll see the other. But in rare cases, you'll see both. And with Chris Eubank Jr., we were able to see both how stiff he was in the beginning of the fight, and then also the effects it had on him towards the end of the fight, with him being lethargic and not mentally sharp, and also you could really see it in his legs. You could really see it in his legs.
Well, that being said, then how special was it that he was able to win? Because there were a lot of people last minute that were thinking maybe he wouldn't have a chance to win because of everything that you just said that would have affected him in that fight. So
Right.
how special was that he was able to pull that thing out, man?
All right. I will walk y'all through this. A few days before the fight, Chris Eubank's dad comes out and says, Chris Eubank Sr., he says, my son's a disgrace and like I'm not proud of him. And
Yes.
then the whole world, like everyone thought, okay, he's not coming to the fight. He said he wasn't coming to the
Mhm.
fight. And then we had one of the most incredible moments in like all of cinematography, not just
Yes.
like sports and combat sports, but all of like cinematography. That moment when his dad and him both stepped out of the vehicle, that they were like oozing aura. You know what I'm saying? It was a top 10 moment I've seen in the sport. Just seeing them both side by side and the announcers actually like going crazy. And then my favorite shot was when they went into the locker room of Conor Benn and Nigel Benn, and they were looking at the TV, and like you could see Conor Benn like cussing and just like so upset. It really threw him off. He was like, "What? Like I did not expect him to be here." You know, it was the next level
Mhm.
psychological warfare, and I don't know that they didn't plan it because that moment was just incredible, and seeing like the real, like raw, authentic reactions from Conor Benn and from Nigel Benn, bro, that was insane. But
That I was thinking
go
it
ahead.
had to be planned, man. I mean, because Chris Eubank is a master of that psychological warfare, man. From everything that he said, his
Singer, yeah.
demeanor, the egg situation, smacking him in the face with the egg. I mean, it was you could clearly
Yeah,
tell that, when it comes to psychological warfare, I mean, he's pound for pound one of the best in the business, man. So I don't
right.
know. I mean, when I saw it, I loved it. I mean, just like you, I was like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be crazy."
Yeah,
But then I was like, "Man, this had to have been planned," because again, 2 days before that, he's
yeah.
basically telling everybody he disowned his son. Like, what changed, right?
I think
But
it helped
listen,
Chris Eubank in the fight though,
it had to
because
have, right?
because it's kind of like the feeling I was telling you about with Roy Jones, like me like wanting to look impressive, like show out, but like
Right.
having his dad there, and you know the history with like him and his dad has been like something that's been documented for the last few years. The falling out that he had with his dad. Um, so I think that was very real. But when his dad actually came and they had that special walkout, another thing, like having the dad walk out with them, both of them, like having their respective dads walk out with them was a classy touch on the part of the zone. I really loved that. It created like a special moment just for their families and like their legacy. Um, but just having his dad through that walkout and knowing that his dad had once conquered Nigel Benn, and having his dad look on at him and having his dad, tell him that he was a failure and that he wasn't proud of him. Um, when he had the opportunity to rewrite history and to change his dad's perspective, I think that really gave him juice having his dad there and being like, no, I'm gonna show you I'm special. I'm gonna show you I'm worthy of the Eubank name. I'm gonna show you that I am a champion, in my own right. And he dug deep, man. He didn't have any energy. He was drained, he was lethargic, the weight cut killed him, and he had a rehydration clause the next day. Um, he was running on straight determination and mental fortitude. Like that showed the mental toughness and just the will to not be conquered by Chris Eubank Jr. Man, it was a beautiful night of boxing.
I couldn't have said it better myself, man. That was poetry. You're right, man. It was, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what's gonna give? Like this guy. But
Yeah,
the thing I saw in that fight that I noticed was you had two guys that they just they just wanted to win so bad.
yeah,
Like they put it all out there. Cause shout out to Conor Benn, man. I mean, again, he landed some really good shots as well,
right,
especially in the beginning of that fight. Fighting, moving up 2 weight classes, fighting a bigger guy. I mean, that was just a sensational fight all around. I love the point that you brought up for my viewers about the sacrifices that fighters have to make, especially with their bodies, because the human body is not intended to go through the physical rigors and punishment that it does when a human being decides to be a fighter. That's tough. I don't think
right.
people realize how hard it is to put in that work in the gym, the weight cut, the sparring. I mean, these guys dedicate, years of their lives, and it takes away years of your life as far as your body
Yeah.
is concerned. Like yesterday, I'm watching Lubin spar, and I'm like, dude, I mean, these guys are going hard. These guys are going heavy in there,
And then do
and this
that
guy
for
hasn't
3
fight in
weeks
like a week and a half.
or 8 weeks, 3 times a week.
Right.
That's yeah. A lot of
You-
times, the biggest fight, the thing that affects your career and your longevity the most isn't necessarily the fight night. It's the camps, right? So you have 8 weeks. 4 plus 4. Okay, there we go. You have 8 weeks of training camp, right? And you're working out 3 times a day. Some days, other days it's 2 days, 2 times a day. Um, and you're sparring 3 times a week. You're doing 10, 12 rounds of sparring. If you're fighting for a championship, you're most likely doing like 12 to 14 rounds of sparring. You're doing that 3 times a week. And these sparring sessions aren't easy. They're a lot of times the sparring sessions are more brutal than the actual fights. And so you do that for 8 weeks, and then you have to do the actual weight cut. Um, and that's only for one fight, right? And you do that for a next camp, and then the next camp, and then the next camp. A lot of times with fighters, that's what decreases the length of your career. It's not necessarily getting there, actually taking the punches in the fight. It's the training camps and like the wear and tear on your body, and the wear and tear on your brain through the training camps.
Yeah, I've talked to fighters and they've veteran fighters and they've said it. I mean, when they ever decide or when they have decided to walk away, it's because they just don't want to deal with the rigors of training. Because that's the hardest part. That's when you're like, you know what, maybe it's time to hang them up. It's not easy.
Right.
Yeah, it's not easy, man. Like I said, I be in the gym now and I see these guys, and it's like the sacrifice and the dedication that they put into it is absolutely amazing. That's why I will never stand for anyone to sit there and call any fighter, I don't care who they are skill wise, a bum. No fighter, that laces up a pair of gloves and do what they do, and risk their lives, for entertainment should be considered a bum. So I don't tolerate that on the channel. Everybody that follows me knows that. But great fight. Do you wanna see a rematch? And do you think it happens?
The rematch definitely happens. I watch it just because it was a good fight the first time. I watch it, but am I like geeked up for it like I was for the first fight? No. I think Chris Eubank handles him like honestly probably easier than the first fight. But there's too much money on the table for them to not make the second fight, right? They had 70,000 people in the stadium. It was a night that crossed into the mainstream public, not just sports fans, not just like football fans and basketball fans, but into the mainstream public, just like people in general. It was a fight that so many different people from different walks of life were able to like see and were able to experience, whether it was through highlights or whether it was some actually tuning into the fight. They had 70,000 people there in the stadium. Um, Fights like that are where, honestly, I think Chris Eubank wins this fight, the second fight, and then I think he tries to fight Canelo after Canelo fights Crawford. Um, it's a money fight. Those are two like massive money fights for Canelo and for Chris Eubank. Um, and then on the side of matchroom boxing, it just makes sense business wise. Um, they've invested so much money into Conor Benn, and these are the nights that as a promoter you pray for. These are the nights that you go to bed like wishing what would happen for your fighter. Right now they definitely made a hefty check off of Conor Benn for this fight. So why not do it again? And make even more money.
I agree. I think from a business perspective, it makes sense. But me personally, yeah, I think you'll see the same thing all over again.
It's probably going to be
So
worse
yeah,
because they'll do the fight at a higher weight. I'm guessing like 63, 163, 162. So I think it'll just be worse for Conor Benn.
yeah, no, absolutely. But either way, we were all in for a treat. If you guys didn't see that fight, make sure you guys check that out. I think it's already out on YouTube. I mean,
I
shout
got a
out to
question
Toby.
for you, Johnny.
Talk to me, brother.
Where would you rank this fight compared to like the other fights we've seen this year, being like Benavidez Morel, Tank Roach, um, and then obviously this fight? Where would you rank this fight? Because it's not an all time great fight because like they weren't at that championship level, and then I think they were both like very sloppy. There wasn't a lot of like skill. necessarily shown. It was just like real grit and determination, which like created a beautiful narrative. But in terms of just like beautiful boxing, it wasn't that, and it wasn't the most like high level fight, you know. Because seeing that both neither guy is championship material at the moment, But I'm curious to see where you think it stacks up in terms of like fights that we've seen recently.
So I think that's twofold, right? Because if you're gonna look at it from a skill perspective, you're right. It was very, very sloppy. It was a fight. It wasn't really your typical boxing match with a lot of skill. It was two guys that were putting it all out on the table and they were trying to just win that fight in any means possible. So from that perspective, there, yeah, you have to say that it probably didn't live up to what people would say fight of the year. But if you look at it as a fight, right, with all the magnitude and the rivalry and the fact that, like I just said earlier, these two guys literally went out there and they put it all out in the line. Like none of them wanted to lose. Prime
Right.
example is at the end of that fight, Conor Benn, just looked, hugging his dad. He looked defeated. Like, I can't believe I
Yeah.
lost this fight. This is a fight I did not want to lose. And I ended up losing it because this guy was better than me. Like, and then Eubank, the emotion, right? You never see a guy like Eubank like show that emotion. Like after he was announced the victor, he went down on two knees and he yelled at the sky like he just won a title, and he hugged his father, who he hadn't have been,
Right.
who he had beef with for like God knows how long the last few years. So from a fight perspective, I think it ranks up there. It was entertaining,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what the fight fans, if I'm gonna speak for the casual or the fight fan in general, they want to be entertained in this day and age. And to me, it was an entertaining scrap. That's what I called it. I called it a scrap.
Right. For sure. 100%.
So I think from an entertainment standpoint, it ranks up there. It ranks up there.
Okay.
From a skill
Okay.
perspective, nah. I would think that
Yeah.
from a skill perspective, I actually enjoyed Benavidez and Morel,
Yeah.
more than
Oh,
that.
what a fight that was. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one more than that, but it ranks up there. Like I said, from what's the word that I'm looking for? Like one of those action movies, man, that does
Yeah.
may not
Yeah.
have the best plot. It may not have the
Yeah.
best plot, but man, you walked out of there, you were like, "Damn, that was a
Yeah.
good time. I enjoyed that movie," even though,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
said, the acting may have not been up to par, the plot, but it was up there. It's not an
Bro,
Oscar
speak.
award-winning movie.
Yeah.
It's not an
Okay.
Oscar award-winning movie, but man, it was
Okay.
enjoyable. It was an
Yeah,
enjoyable
exactly.
12
You hit the nail on the head, bro. But
Yeah.
speaking of movies, dog, I went and saw Sinners, the Michael B. Jordan movie yesterday.
How'd you like that? Because I saw it too.
Bro, dog, it was tough. Dog, it was tough. Bro, I love the fact that Michael B. Jordan was able to play two different people. Like that was impressive. And then them actually filming it. I know the movie takes place in Mississippi, but they filmed it in Louisiana. Um, I love that they didn't use like a bunch of green screen and they like actually filmed it in the South. Like I'm from the South, like them going because it's something you can't replicate, and them going to the South and like actually filming it. Michael B. Jordan playing two different people and just like it was a great like cinematic masterpiece, man. I loved the movie.
We liked it too. Me and my wife just went this weekend and we liked it. We enjoyed it. Again, another movie that I enjoyed.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's funny you asked that because that's a topic that was going back and forth on the boxing voice because Nesta Gibbs didn't like it. And he
what?
didn't like it. No, he didn't like it at
Nah,
all. Nah, he shitted on it. He crapped on it, and then obviously the
what?
community that called in. Yeah, 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 yeah. He
Bruh.
he definitely didn't like it. It is what it is. Everybody has their different preferences, but shout out to Michael B. Jordan. I did like his performance with two characters. I thought that was pretty
I
badass.
love the
It was
brotherly
enjoyable.
bond they had. Like they were
Yeah,
real deal, like locked in. You know what I'm saying? And for
yeah,
me,
yeah,
it
no,
really struck home because like, I got a lot of brothers, and we're all like that, man. And so seeing like Smoke and Stack, those are the characters that Michael B. Jordan played. Seeing them
mhm.
two, just like their bond and like the chemistry they had, it really hit home for me.
For sure, man. For sure. Ebenezer Stuntman Griffin is in the building, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Chat is cooking. The chat is cooking. There's just so many different chats up in here. So I'm just gonna say what's up to everybody that's rocking out with us. I appreciate the love and support. But let's pivot a little bit because this weekend I want to get your take, man. We got some big, big fights coming up this weekend. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It starts Friday in Times Square, New York City, something that's never been done. in the middle of Times Square. You got Ryan Garcia against Rolly Romero. You have Devin Haney making his return. Since the Ryan Garcia, actually, both of them making their return from the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight against Jose Ramirez, and then you got Teofimo Lopez against Arnold Barboza, which is proving to be probably the grudge match out of the three because of the hatred that they have for each other. He actually smacked Barboza during a press conference, and then you got Canelo over the weekend on Saturday trying to go for undisputed twice against William Skull in away fights on Sunday. His return to the United States. So I want to get your take. Like, out of all those fights, which one are you looking forward to the most? In fact, I think I'm going to put a poll out for my viewers so they can vote. But which one are you looking forward to the most out of all the fights that I just talked about?
Oh man, first can I say that this card is just beautiful, man. Like in Times Square, this has never been done. They've had a few concerts before, but for Turkey Al Sheikh to shell out millions of dollars to the city of New York to have a boxing event in Times Square and the billboards like all around Times Square are going to be playing the fight, bro. Dog, this is something that like we dream about. Like, could you have dreamed something like this? This is something we've never seen before.
It's
Like, this
crazy.
is the Super Bowl. Like, this is big as the Super Bowl, man. Like, this is an incredible night. Like, the fights aside, this is something that we've never seen before, and this is like paving boxing history. This is going to be boxing history. Like imagine telling your kids that you were at a fight in Times Square. Like that's crazy. They don't shut Times Square down for anything, bro. Like imagine telling your kids you were in Times Square for a boxing match. And like, dog, this is going to be like a special night for boxing. And man, like, can I just say we are kicking the crap out of the UFC, bro. Over the past like 2 years, dog, boxing has been kicking the crap out of the UFC. Like we have all the stars, we are killing them in pay-per-view numbers. And then just from like creating history, we're creating historic moments. And like, bro, no UFC fight is selling 70,000 people out to see two fighters that aren't even fighting for a world title, like Conor Benn and Chris Eubank. Like we sold
Yep.
70,000 seats, and then Usyk and Dubois are going to do the same thing at Wembley. Like they're going to sell easily 70,000 seats, and like, bro, boxing is in a beautiful place, and I just love being like a fan of the sport right now because, man, it really is special.
Well said, man. Well said. I just put a
Can you hit
poll
that
out.
horn one more time? Can you hit that horn one more time? Let's go
Shout out to
boxing.
boxing, man.
Let's go
Shout out
boxing,
to
baby.
boxing for doing their thing, man. But yeah, what's up? Tell me Friday. So Friday, like I said, I'm more excited about the Friday card more than anything
Yeah,
else for all the reasons
for
you
sure.
just said. Not only do we have three great matchups, actually, there's four fights. They actually added a fourth fight for a fighter who's making his pro debut. But those are the three main fights.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then it's something that's never been done before. So I'm excited to see how that whole
Exactly.
dynamic works, right? Not just with with the weather, but this is Times Square. Is it going to be
Exactly.
more of a spectacle
Dog.
like we see on New Year's Eve with with thousands and thousands of people that are there gathered up?
Man, bro,
That's
I
what
just
I'm
I just
interested
wish
in
I
seeing.
was I just wish I was like, bro, my dream would be to fight in a car like that, dog. Like, bro,
For
just like,
real.
man, like you literally are a part of history fighting on that card, dog. I'm so jealous right now. Like, I'm not a jealous person, but like, dog, I'm so jealous of these fighters, bro, because I want to be there. I don't even care about like everybody seeing me. I just want to be in Times Square in the greatest city on planet Earth, in like the greatest 1,000 square foot like on the planet, and just like doing what I love, bro. Man, I wish I was fighting on this card, dog.
Well, you never know what's going to happen, right? As your career progresses. But which one of those fights, those three fights, which one of those three fights are you looking forward to the most? And do you see an upset in any of those fights? And if so, which fight do you think has the biggest probability to probably be an upset?
I think the fight I'm looking forward to the most is the Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez fight. just because I'm curious to see where Devin Haney is physically, like mentally, um, how he looks at 147. I know it's at a catch weight like 144, right? But how he is at a new weight class, how he bounces back from the Ryan fight. Excuse me, from the Ryan fight. And I think that's the most like stylistically. Well, no, that's not the most stylistic fight. The most interesting fight on the card, though, is easily, and the one that has the biggest chance for the upset is easily the Teofimo Lopez Arnold Barboza fight. Bro, if the viewers haven't seen Arnold Barboza fight, he I'm not gonna lie, his fights aren't that excited. I'm not gonna lie to you.
You're not
Um
lying.
and like that's coming from me, like I'm a boxing nerd, bro. I appreciate the sweet science so much, but he isn't necessarily like the most like flashy fighter, and he also isn't the most like um technically sound. You know, like he's a technically sound fighter, but he also isn't the most like technically proficient, I should say. You know, he doesn't necessarily fight with like precision that you see from like a Terrence Crawford or somebody like that. You know, so like I always say he's like a poor man's Devin Haney. He's like a poor man's Devin Haney. That being said, though, the reason why I think this is the most interesting fight on the card is because he has the style to beat Teofimo Lopez.
Mm,
And then also like Teofimo Lopez, he just fought Steve Claggett.
I was
He
there.
fought Steve Claggett, like a guy with what 11 losses, and like went toe to toe with the guy Keyshawn Davis smacked. You know, the guy who's really dirty. I don't remember his name, but he went toe to toe with him on Pro Box
Madueno,
TV.
Miguel
Miguel
Madueno.
Dueño. I watched that fight on Pro Box TV. Miguel Madueño and Steve Claggett, and they went toe to toe, and Steve Claggett barely pulled out the win. He has double-digit losses, and he fights Teofimo Lopez. Like, for what are we doing? Um, but I'm sorry, I'm ranting now. But just from like a boxing standpoint, I think that Arnold Barboza has the best shot to pull off the upset because he does have a style that gives Teofimo Lopez problems. We know that Teofimo Lopez has a hard time cutting off the ring. Canelo used to have the same problem, but Canelo went and like actually fixed it. Canelo cuts off the ring beautifully now. Like remember when he fought Caleb Plant, he cut off the ring beautifully. Um, Teofimo Lopez can't cut off the ring to save his life. He's stumbling over the front foot whenever he like tries to shift. He has to have his feet planted in order to let his hands go. Teofimo Lopez has to have his feet planted in order to let his power shots go. And if that's the way you fight, you're always going to struggle with people with movement. And Arnold Barboza, he has a good jab. He has good side lateral movement. Um, and he also knows how to win close rounds. Like he'll do just enough to squeeze out a round. Now, whether they give it to him or not is yet to be seen. But he's a fighter who knows how to win those nitty gritty close rounds. And I think that that's the fight that has the highest chance and the highest probability of an upset.
I agree. I said that early on the Boxing Voice. I think that's the fight that I would look at. Now, I would favor Tio in that
I
fight.
still favor Tio for sure.
But you brought up some really good points about the cutting off the ring or lack thereof. One other thing that I would add to that is that I'm concerned because Tio is always this guy that's better when his back is against the wall against guys that people don't think he can beat. And he's not necessarily as good against guys that people think that he should walk over. Claggett,
Right.
who's the other guy? Sandor Martin, Jermaine Ortiz, you know.
Masayoshi
So
Nakatani,
right, exactly. So I mean, so those are, but then you
George
look at
Kambosos.
Tio, George Kambosos, absolutely. That's actually the best one out of the bunch because I firm and shout out to Kambosos. I mean, he fought a great fight that night. I firmly believe that Tio is just light years better than him. There's no way Tio should have lost that fight, but Kambosos beat him, and this is why you can't win fights on paper. You got to go out there and do
This
it.
is boxing. Styles make
It's
fights,
boxing,
you know.
exactly. This is
Um,
boxing. But
you
then
can make
again,
all the excuses in the world for Teofimo, but at the end of the day, he went out there, he got
no, you're
dropped,
right.
and he got beat up. Like
You're
you see his
absolutely
face
right.
after the fight. It's not just like George Kambosos went in there and just flukily won. He beat
No, no,
Teofimo
no.
up.
No, no, no. I just think that going into that fight, skill wise, if you look at the two, Teofimo should have won that fight.
Yeah. Hey, that's
But
why we fight the fights, though.
But this is what
That's why we
right,
fight
and
the
that's the
fights.
point that I'm getting at. This is you don't win fights on paper, you win them on the ring. Anything can
Yes,
happen in the
sir.
ring.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's the fight that I think that has the most probability. It's funny, I haven't checked the poll yet, but the last time I checked, it looked like more people were agreeing with you with the whole Devin Haney because I think there's an intrigue there. What do we see?
Yeah.
What Devin Haney do we see? Do we see the Devin
Yeah.
Haney before the Ryan Garcia fight, obviously, or do we or is there any after effects from what happened? It's funny, nobody's saying Ryan and Rolly. I haven't checked the latest
I think
thing. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it in a second. I'm gonna check it in 1 second because that's interesting because that fight may, based on styles and the fact that these guys are gonna throw bombs, it may be the most entertaining out of the three. But we'll see. We'll see in a second. But first
Yeah.
and foremost, I want to shout out Coach Marcus Walker with the $20 super chat.
Go.
Straight cash, homie.
This is from the King Cam family. Let me tell you something. They are family to me. Shout out to Kamari King Cam Walker. Prospect.
You had Cam Walker on the show the other
I
day.
had Cam
I
Walker
tuned in
on.
for that.
Yep. A couple weeks ago, great interview, and I had Coach Marcus, his dad, his trainer, pop up as well. It was a fantastic interview. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure you go to the Hangout spot after this and check it out on the YouTube page. It was a fantastic interview, and especially when I got them both in there because I started out getting that whole perspective of their relationship between father son, father trainer. It was phenomenal. Make sure you guys check it out and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend to tell a friend. But Coach, thank you, man. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. You family. You family up in here. He also wants to send a shout out to you. What's up, Ebenezer? Keep going, bro. Proud of you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. For sure. The coach is in the building. What's going on, Coach? Thank you. Thank you again, Coach. I appreciate it. But getting back to this, what do you see happening with Ryan and Rolly?
I
You think Ryan stops him?
I think Ryan stops him. I don't think there's much like intrigue as to like how Ryan's gonna look. I think we all know how he's gonna look. He's gonna look flashy. He's gonna look fast. He's gonna look strong. At least I'm assuming.
Do you think the layoff, the suspension will have anything to do with
no,
it?
because he was off for a year after Tank knocked him out. I don't think that'll have an issue. He can get up off the couch at 160 pounds and throw that left hook and still knock somebody out. It's just God given, it's not something you can necessarily teach. I mean, we saw that with Devin Haney in the Devin Haney fight, right? Obviously, he was on steroids and stuff like that, but he can get off the couch, drinking beers and stuff like that, and still whip that left hook, and he's gonna crack, But I think that's the least like intriguing fight on the card. But I think they made Ryan the main event just because they needed the name,
Mm-hmm.
And obviously Devin Haney has a name too, but coming off that Ryan fight, you couldn't put him in a card of this magnitude as the main event.
Nah, for sure. I realize why they did that, but what's up, Wax? My man Wax is in the building. What's up, Johnny and Stuntman? We
Honestly,
appreciate you rocking out. What's up?
Go ahead. Do your thing.
Nah, we appreciate Wax rocking out with us. We got Jersey Bob said Barboza got some gift decisions in the last few fights. He is not a high level fighter. Hey, listen. But we've seen Teofimo too, man, have some subpar performances against fighters that technically on paper he should have walked through. So it's going to be interesting.
I thought
I'm not
Jermaine
a big
Ortiz beat
Barboza
him.
fan either, though.
Yeah, I'm not either. But I think Jermaine Ortiz beat Teofimo.
Yeah, there's a lot of
obviously
people think Sandor Martin won.
Obviously, we can only go off of like the judge's decision. So at the end of the day, he didn't beat him. But if you ask me, in my opinion, I think that Jermaine Ortiz did enough to beat Tio.
There's a lot of people that feel Sandor Martin won that fight against Tio as well.
Yeah, if they had scored that second time Tio went down, they should have scored that a knockdown. But
yeah. Tio's weird, man, because then he goes up against Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, against guys that you wouldn't think he has a chance. And then he puts together, great performances. It's kind of weird. Like I said, I'm hoping that fight, I like that fight because, again, there seems to be animosity because of what's happened, right? The trash talk, the whole thing with the press conferences, him slapping Arnold Barboza. So I think that has the fight. That's the fight that I'm personally looking forward to the most because of that. But I am intrigued with what Devin Haney. Do you think Devin Haney wins this fight? Fairly easy. Again, former champion Jose Ramirez. Do you think that
We'll see. Jose Ramirez still got some stuff left in the tank. He's not washed, especially at 144, like at catch weight, because he was fighting at 140 and he was like killing himself to make 140. I think this benefits Jose Ramirez low key more than Devin Haney doing it at the catch weight. So I'm expecting to see the best version of Jose Ramirez. But going back to that Teofimo fight, bro, it's
Which
just
one? Which one?
all of those Teofimo fights that we just named that he has subpar performances in. It's because he can't cut off the ring. You know, he's always struggled. Even going back to like his fight before he was a world champion with Masayoshi Nakatani, he struggled cutting off the ring. He struggled getting past the jab. When you look at fighters like Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, they're aggressive southpaws, right? They come forward. They like to throw long combinations. Teofimo Lopez is a natural counterpuncher, right? If somebody's going to stand in front of you and throw long combinations, 5 and 6 punch combinations, that's what we love as counterpunchers. Like, bro, if I'm fighting somebody who loves throwing like 5 and 6 punch combinations, that's what I want you to do. You know, and you're going to come forward too. Oh, thank you. Like, I'll take that all day. I just think like stylistically, Teofimo Lopez fights those guys beautifully. But when it comes to guys that are going to make him pick up their front foot, because think about it, fighters that have to have their feet set before they throw punches, they can't cut off the ring, because in order to cut off the ring, you have to be able to jab while you're picking up your front foot. If your front foot has to be set for you to jab, forget throwing power punches. If your front foot has to be set for you to even throw the jab, you'll never cut off the ring. You have to be able to jab while you move in order to cut off the ring, right? It's all about getting them into the corner. And if I don't have to worry about you shooting shots at me while I'm trying to escape out of the corner, you're never going to be able to corner me. You're never going to be able to cut off the ring, right? You have to be able to shoot your shots, especially your jab, while you're moving your front foot, right? While you're shifting, you have to still be able to pump that jab. You know, you don't necessarily have to be able to throw the power shots, but you have to be able to throw that jab to the head, to the body. All of that's going to help you to cut off the ring. But Teofimo Lopez isn't able to necessarily shoot his punches off of the front foot while he's moving.
Good breakdown.
That's just like some X's and O's for y'all, man.
Nah, I love it. This is how we do it up. So I got you here, my brother. You got to break it down from a fighter's perspective, man. My viewers love it as well. So again, real quick. So you got Ryan winning by stoppage.
Yes.
Before 6 or after 6?
After 6.
Okay. All right. Because
I think the layoff might extend Rolly a little bit. And then Rolly also is a tough guy. You know, he took Pitbull Cruz like what, 7 rounds, 8 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he lasts till about like round 9, round 10.
Okay.
I could be wrong though. We'll see. You know, that's all we fight.
We'll see. This is
that's my prediction.
Yep.
And then Devin Haney, I think
Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez.
I think Devin Haney. This is the most interesting fight on the card, like for me at least, just because we don't know what to expect. You know, if Devin Haney comes out and he's just shot, then it could be a long night for him. You know, and but if he comes out and he's flashy and he fights like he fought against Regis Prograis and he's moving and he's sticking that jab to the body, he's sticking the jab to the head, and he's coming up with the right hand after he's timing them, I think he could drop Jose Ramirez. And this is what I think is the most likely scenario. I think he outboxes Jose Ramirez, and I think he drops him like late, like round 10 or so, and then but I think he wins the unanimous decision. And then the Teofimo Lopez fight, I think Teofimo wins a ugly, like super incredibly boring fight.
Okay. All right.
I think the fight's going to look exactly like that. Exactly like his fight did with who's the guy that I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. Who's the guy who fought before?
Jermaine Ortiz.
Yeah, I think it looks exactly like his fight did with Jermaine Ortiz.
Interesting.
But I think they give the decision to Tio.
All right, I love it.
Remember that, bro, because I'm gonna hit you up.
Hit me up
Saturday morning.
Hit me up.
I'm telling you, the fight with Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza Jr., it's gonna look exactly like Teofimo Lopez's fights with Jermaine Ortiz and the one with the Southpaw kid.
I can't wait. I can't wait. We definitely gonna talk on Saturday, but it's gonna be a banging card. Those were the predictions from my man Ebenezer Stuntman Griffin. Yo, shout out to my man, the Nigerian Nightmare, with a $10 cash app.
Let's go.
Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate the donations, man. Y'all family, man. Y'all are
Yes, sir.
family. We got my man Clarence from No Duck Zone podcast. What's going on? Appreciate you rocking out with us here on a Tuesday night. We are doing it up. We got my man, Ephraim Arocho from Bushwick on the check-in on Facebook. So, they're watching us on Facebook as well. Jersey Bob says Ortiz ran all night. This is the fight you talking about against Tio. Can't watch that fight and give him a win for running and not throwing. Again, stylistically, a lot of people are going to criticize Jermaine Ortiz's performance because they didn't think he engaged enough. Now, I had him on the channel. I actually had him on live. We talked about that. He said that was his plan. He just wanted to make Teofimo look like a clown and outbox him. But he said if they ever fought again, it wouldn't be that way. Like, he wouldn't even
I think
pay
he
no
could have
heed.
done a little bit more. He could have made it a little bit more clear. That's why I'm not as heavy on him winning that fight as I am on the southpaw kid from Spain, the one who beat Mikey Garcia.
Sandor Martin.
Sandor Martin. I really think Sandor Martin beat Teofimo Lopez just because I think he knocked him down twice. I believe that he knocked him down twice. They only ruled one of those a knockdown, but that second one, it really should have been.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people that agree with you. Absolutely, man. We got my man Wax that said he thinks Haney will win as unanimous decision as well. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, there's still a lot of intrigue. Let's see what the chat thinks in the poll here. So right now we got Devin Haney and Ramirez. 45% of the viewers are looking forward to that fight, with Barboza and Teofimo second at 25%. Now you got 50% for Devin Haney and Ramirez. So somebody just voted. 25% for Teofimo Barboza, 17% for Ryan and Rolly, and only 8% for Canelo against Skull on Saturday. Let's flip over to that
bro,
card.
chill.
I think that's a good one.
Nasty.
Listen, I ain't going front, man. When I first heard about this, I was like, man, this is nasty work, man. But it's Canelo, right? I mean, he has an opportunity to go undisputed a second time in 168 and potentially set up that big fight with Terrence Crawford in September. And that means that Terrence Crawford, if that happens, he'll be fighting for another undisputed in another weight class. But before we get to that, let's talk about this one. Is there any doubt in your mind that we see an upset on Saturday with Canelo and Skull?
No, I think Skull gives him a tougher fight than people think.
Okay.
I don't think Canelo knocks him out. I think Skull gives him a little bit tougher fight than people think. Skull's a switch hitter. He primarily fights out of southpaw, but he also fights orthodox. I watch film all day, dog. I'm a boxing head, dog. I've watched film on William Skull. He's a switch hitter. He fights out of southpaw a lot, but he will switch orthodox too, and he's decent in orthodox. I don't think Canelo knocks him out. I think he gives Canelo a few problems, but I think Canelo ultimately wins. He might knock him down, and ultimately win. And then it's also in Saudi Arabia, which is something to take into account. This is Canelo's first time fighting over there, so it'll be interesting to see how he does without all of the Mexico chants. Because every fight I've ever seen of Canelo, it's always like Mexico, or like Canelo. It's definitely a hostile environment when Canelo's fighting, so it's interesting to see if he doesn't, like, if he comes out flat, without having, because it's always super quiet at those Saudi fights. The fans aren't necessarily like as animated, so I'm curious to see if that plays an effect on the Canelo. He has like 60 fights, so it shouldn't be an issue, but we never know until he actually gets in there. If he comes out slow, that could be because he isn't necessarily fighting in the States.
And I also agree with you. I don't think that Canelo stops Skull either. I think he wins by decision. He wins by decision, and then he moves on to potentially that fight in September against Crawford. Before I get your thoughts on that one, you got Jaime Munguia, the rematch against Bruno Soros. That first one was going down. Jaime was cooking, and then all of a sudden, this is boxing. You can't slip up. You can't get comfortable. He got caught with a big shot, perfect shot, and he got knocked out. So this is the rematch. Do you see Jaime Munguia getting this back, or do you just say that Shiraz just has his number?
Well, let's go back to the first fight, right? So I watched the first fight.
Mhm.
Um, Bruno Saras was landing that counter right hand the entire fight. The entire fight, he was landing it. Round 3, he clipped him with it, and I was like, I don't know how Jaime Munguia is still standing up. It wasn't just like one shot that he caught him with; he kept landing that shot, you know. And Bruno Saras has like 4 knockouts in like his whole in like all of his fights. So for him to put him out with that, you know how many times he had to land that shot. In order for him to find the right button, you know, like he landed that shot a lot. So I don't think that it was as flukish as like a lot of people think. Like I've been seeing people thinking that like Jaime Munguia is just going to walk through him. That's not going to happen. I think this might be the best fight of the weekend, that Bruno Saras and Jaime Munguia fight, just because I think Jaime Munguia is going to have to bring it, and I think he's going to walk into some shots, and I think that I think Jaime Munguia wins, but it's going to be a war, and he's going to get touched up a lot too.
I like that. I like that. I don't
That
know.
might
I
be the
mean,
best fight of the weekend, bro.
for sure. I may do a recap at some point in the weekend and get you on, man, so we could talk about all these fights, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. I think they got a good heavyweight fight too. Martin Bakoli
Yeah,
and Effie Ajagba.
and F.A. Jabba.
I mean, the heavyweights don't disappoint. You know the deal.
Yeah,
Bakoli's coming off that loss to Joseph Parker, but I'm not tripping on that. He took that on a
yeah.
couple days' notice. He's had a full training camp for this. These are two big punchers. How do you see that fight playing out? Who do you got in that one?
I'm curious to see what Bacoli weighs in.
I saw some footage where he looked thinner. He looked a
Okay,
lot thinner than he did going into the Parker fight, but I don't know the
that
weight.
should be good.
I'm
Yeah,
just
because
saying physically he looked a little
he
thinner.
gained like 60 pounds from the Anderson fight to the Parker fight. So
Insane.
if he comes in at a weight like similarly to what he did to against Anderson, if I'm his coaches, I want him to come in even a little bit lighter than that, because a guy that big, he'll always be able to punch. You don't have to worry about him losing that power. Um, but I want to see him come in like 295, 290. You know, I think that would be like beautiful if he came in that around 290, 295 in shape. I think he beats F.A. Joppa either way, but I think that would be beneficial for him.
I'm going Bacoli as well. I think again, it's hard. It's hard when you're overweight, you haven't had a camp, and you just get up from your sofa and you go and you fight a guy like Joseph Parker in such a big stage. Joseph Parker is one of the best heavyweights right now. You know, at
Right.
least top five, at least top five in the heavyweight
Yeah.
division. So that was a tough task. That was a lot to ask. People were thinking because of what they saw against Jared Anderson that he would be
Oh
able to
no, no.
walk through Parker. You can't play boxing.
Yeah,
You
not at
can't
all.
play boxing.
Yeah,
You know, and that fight proved it. But with a training camp, I like Bacoli, man. I like
yeah,
Bacoli in
I
that
do
fight.
too,
Either way, I
for
like that
sure.
fight too because I think they're going. I don't think that goes the distance at all. But
Yeah.
before it finishes, I think we're in
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
treat.
yeah,
I
yeah, for
think we're in
sure.
for a treat. Then we got a
Because
couple other
Ajaba can
fights.
punch too. Ajaba can
Yeah,
punch
that's what
for
I'm
sure.
saying, bro. He could
Yeah,
punch too. A lot of people are sleeping on him, man. He could
yeah.
punch.
He don't have
So
the
I'm
most
looking
skill,
forward
but
to
he
that
has a
one.
mean right hand.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the
Yeah,
heavyweights never disappoint, champ. You know the deal.
yeah,
You
yeah, for
can't blink
sure.
your eyes with a
Absolutely.
heavyweight fight.
Yeah, yeah. What
Um,
Deontay Wilder used to say. He said it before Tank. He used to say, "Don't get up, don't get no popcorn, don't get no beer, don't go to the bathroom, don't get on the phone with your people, because
mhm.
he might just go to sleep.
Yeah,
You're gonna
absolutely.
be talking about, oh, I missed it. He might just go to sleep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's Saturday. We got a couple other fights on that. And then
Top
Sunday,
rank.
Inoue makes his return, man, to Vegas. I like Inoue. I'm an Inoue guy. Are you an
I like
Inoue
him.
fan?
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I like watching him like for some film study. That being said, though, he's fighting nobody's dog. Outside of like okay, outside of Luis Neri, which, let's be real, Luis Neri wasn't necessarily the best fighter. He had just got knocked out. He was coming off a knockout loss to the Pro Box kid, the one that knocked out Bernardo Lopez. I don't know why I'm blanking on his
Angelo
name.
Leo.
Angelo Leo. I love Angelo Leo, but he was
Mhm.
coming off a knockout loss to Angelo Leo. You know, so we're not gonna sit here and say that he was this super tough guy. You know, and then he also lost to the guy that Stephen Fulton beat, Mark Castro. He lost to Mark Castro before he fought Inoue.
Yeah, but what about the Fulton fight against Inoue?
Yeah, for sure. I'll give Inoue credit for the Fulton fight.
He cooked Fulton, bro, and a lot of
Yeah,
people thought Fulton would win that fight going
yeah, but
overseas, man, undefeated.
Fulton was also like super weight drained, you know. Which like I take that back because I don't like using that as an excuse. That's no excuse. He beat Fulton. We gotta give him his props for that. But outside of Fulton, man, who does he beat? He beat Nonito Donaire when Nonito Donaire was 35. And the first time they fought, Nonito Donaire broke his nose and he went to war with Naoya Inoue, you know, and then he knocks Nonito Donaire out at 36 years old. Like when you really think about it, who is he beating? You know, and like I'm a boxing head, so like I know the fighters at the smaller weight classes, you know, so that's no excuse with me. Like I know these fighters. Who has he beaten? Like he beat Cardenas. Like who is Cardenas?
Mm.
You know.
Well, actually, that's who he's fighting. I think he's fighting
Yeah,
Cardenas.
excuse me. He's fighting Cardenas. Like if he beats Cardenas, like who is
So,
Cardenas? You know.
so here's my question. My man Mikhail just agrees with you. I've actually with the whole Fulton was drained thing. Um, Mikhail's an amateur fighter as well. So who would you think would you give him credit for challenging? Do you think he has to move up to 126 and face some of those guys you just mentioned? Angelo Leo, there's Nick Ball, there's Shushu Carrington at 126. So you think that his best fights are at 126? He has to move up a weight class?
I would give him credit against all those guys for sure, but I don't think he necessarily has to move up. I mean, he just got dropped by Luis Neri. You know, Luis Neri, a guy who got knocked out by Bernardo Lopez. I mean, by Angelo Leo. You know, um, he got dropped by Luis Neri at 122. I don't think he necessarily needs to go up to 126 right now. Um, I like in a way, but bro, I see like some flaws in him. Like he's getting dropped, you know, and like people aren't talking about it. He's fighting guys that aren't necessarily the best, and you know they're like giving him all this praise, and he's a really good fighter. But like, bro, I like Bam Rodriguez more. Like, dog,
Mm.
Bam Rodriguez is running through dudes, great defense, great angles, beautiful combinations, and he's like an incredibly intelligent fighter. He's like 24 years old. Um, dude, I'm a Bam Rodriguez fan.
Bam's a real deal, man. Bam's a real deal. The problem with those lower weight classes is name recognition, right? The average fan doesn't really know a lot of those guys at the lower weight classes, but you got to give credit because he's beating the guys that are put in front of him.
Yeah,
He
that
has
is
won
true.
undisputed titles.
That is
You
true.
can't help. It's almost like it's almost, and Roy Jones had to deal with this as well, right? He was in an era where name recognition was an issue, right? The biggest names weren't there when Roy Jones was there. Now
Well, hold on.
I'm
Roy
one to
also
say
beat James
that he
Toney.
could be good in
He
any
beat
era,
Bernard Hopkins. You know, like
right?
he got some names on his resume. We can't just say that.
No, I'm not saying that, but I lived through it. I lived through it, and there were a lot of people that were criticizing me. Boy, he fought those guys. Like, who is Roy Jones beating? Now, I'm not one of those guys. I think that Roy
Right.
Jones would be good in any era.
Yeah,
So
for
I'm
sure,
not
for
that
sure.
guy. I'm just telling you the
Okay.
stuff that was being said back in those days. Like, but you
Yeah,
can't help to, and this is what I always say: you can't help the era you fight in.
that's
You know what I'm
facts.
saying? Like they said that about the Klitschko's, right? When they were
Yeah,
dominating the heavyweight
they
division,
said that about
the
Crawford too,
real
man.
heavyweight division, they weren't the big names. But
Yeah,
again, you can't help who you fight. You beat who's there. So
that's
that would be
facts.
the only thing that I would
That's
throw out
facts.
there in a way. I mean, listen, he passes the eye test, but you're right.
Yeah,
I think that his biggest tests are gonna come when he moves up to a higher weight class, which is 126.
right.
Once
I
he
mean,
does
they
that,
said the same thing about Crawford. You know, so
yeah,
I
that's what I'm
definitely
saying.
get what you're saying. When
Yeah,
Crawford was at 140, um, yeah. So
absolutely.
I definitely get that. I can't fault in a way for, you know, fighting who they put in front of him. He's handling his business, doing what he's supposed to do. Um, yeah,
Yeah, no,
I can't fault him
absolutely.
for that.
It happens, and this is the fans. The fans are going to say that. Well, who's he beat? Well, he's beating the
Yeah,
guys that are there.
yeah,
You can't pull. you know, when Roy Jones was there, you can't pull a Marvin Hagler out of the bag and have him fight him. You can't. He's
Right.
retired. You can't pull him and have him fight him.
Right.
So, you know,
we got to chill with this pound for pound number one, though. That's crazy.
What do you mean? Oh, anyway?
Yeah, anyway.
I
Like,
don't
he got
think
to do
anyway.
more,
I
bro.
don't know. I think most people, well, listen, the pound for pound list, you know how I feel about that here at the Hangout spot. My viewers know it's a subjective list.
For sure.
You ask 20 people, you have 100 people, you're going to get 90 different pound for pound lists. I don't believe that he should be number one.
Yeah.
But I do believe he should be on it.
He should be on it. Just because of the fact that he's been 2-time undisputed, that alone should put him on it. You know, resume at that point isn't necessarily as big of an issue when you're 2-time undisputed. You know, that speaks for itself. The fact that you were able to, one, become a multi-division world champion, and then also unify the belts and then stay great for so long, that puts him on the pound for pound list on its own. But, you know, number one is a very coveted spot, and I think that's Usyk at the moment, man. Usyk is a lot of times with like
no argument.
A lot of times with fighters, man, we can't necessarily film study heavyweights because they're inactivity. And then they don't necessarily throw the same punches that we would throw because they have to worry about some crazy power opposite them, you know. And then also they're so big and like lumbering, they're not necessarily the most like coordinated, you know, so we necessarily can't study them as much. But Usyk, he's a fighter that anybody, no matter what weight class you are, you can study Usyk, man. His feints, he's so technically sound, man. Like, bro, he fights like a middleweight. Like, Usyk really fights like a middleweight. And then the fact that he was undisputed at cruiserweight and then undisputed again at heavyweight, he beat Anthony Joshua twice, dog. He beat Daniel Dubois. He beat Tyson Fury twice. Like, bro, that's Usyk's number one for me.
Absolutely, I agree. There's no argument there, man. He walked through the cruiserweight division, and right now he's just walking through the heavyweight division.
And then he has some fights at cruiserweight, bro. Tony Bellew, like I've gone back and looked at a lot of Usyk's fights at cruiserweight, man. He was nice, Olympic gold medal, man. Like Usyk's my pound for pound number one for sure.
Not to mention that he's considered, I guess, by size, a smaller heavyweight. He's not a big, overblown heavyweight, and he's beating bigger guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Tyson Fury, you know, some of those guys you mentioned. No, for sure. I love the fact that obviously he's going against Dubois. There's going to be a rematch there. They just had their whole face off, and they're looking at. There's a little.
Man, Dubois pushing him was the softest thing I've ever seen, bro.
that looked kind of wild.
You don't push Usyk. Man, that made me mad, dog. That made me mad. Like, you don't push Usyk.
Listen, he's trying to sell a fight, man. He's trying to sell a fight.
Usyk's the most humble dude, man. Like, how you gonna push him? He walks with like meekness and real humility, man. That was soft, bro. It made me want to go fight Dubois, man.
I know it was, but you know they're trying to sell a fight. But yeah, I thought that was kind of whack. But either way, that'd be interesting to see. The first one was a good fight. That Usyk won. The whole thing with the low blow will always be a question that fans go back and forth with. Was it really a low blow? Was it? You know, if it wasn't, then maybe Dubois wins. So at least they get to, you know, go in there and kind of, you know, settle the score or make it right. You know, make it right. But Toledo Trees, I know you've been here for a long time, Chan. So I'm gonna let you go soon. But what are your thoughts? See, I thought this was a good question. And shout out to Trees, man, for the $10 cash out.
Straight cash, homie.
Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for the donation, man. He said, what are your thoughts on the 154-pound division, which I think is a great last question for you.
154, man. I think it's a division with a lot of potential. It's a division with like incredible potential at the moment. One, not just because of the guys that are there right now, which there's a lot of guys that were in the 154-pound division, but it's also there's a lot of guys who can come up from 147. You know, like Jaron Ennis, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney eventually. But also because of the fighters that are in the 154-pound division, myself included, I think that it's the deepest division in boxing for sure. I believe it's the deepest division in boxing. I would say 126 is probably second, but at the moment, 154 I think is the deepest division in boxing. And man, I'm super excited just for how the next few months unfold. With Sebastian Findor doing the rematch with Tim Tszyu, seeing how that unfolds, and then You know, I've got my eye on several fighters that I want to fight that are definitely higher ranked in the 154 pound division. I know you mentioned Erickson Lubin. That's a fight that I would actually like, man. I wouldn't mind fighting Erickson Lubin. I obviously I understand that he's a good fighter, and I'm not discrediting him in any way. He has a lot of experience that I don't have. But I believe in myself. I believe in my skills. I believe in my preparation, and then I'm also picked by God, man. I was chosen before I was born. So I know that when the moment comes, I'm going to be ready for it, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I seize the moment and I step into my purpose.
I love it, bro. This is why I rock with you, man. You my guy. You my brother, man. You my brother. But two more things I just want to throw out there. Are you comfortable at this weight at 154? Do you see yourself fighting in here for multiple years? And if you had your choice, you fight fights in, when do you feel that you want a title shot? How many fights in? Your choice, if it were you.
Yeah, so I'll answer the first part of that question first. I'm very comfortable at 154. I'm a big 154 pounder, obviously. But I weighed in like 153 for my last two fights. And I'm very disciplined outside of camp. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything like that. So I don't necessarily like blow up. I stay within like, you know, a good pound percentage of 154. I'm not gonna give you the exact number, I can't do that. but
That's fine.
but I think 154, I can make it consistently, as long as I stay disciplined. You know, keep God first in my life and things like that. I think that I can definitely make 154 consistently. It's a weight class that I see myself campaigning at least for the next 3 to 4 years. And then obviously, you know, we'll take it fight by fight, of course, like with anything. And I'm going to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence and that we're putting our best foot forward and making sure that we're always representing ourselves in the best way possible. Um, yeah.
Yo, like I said, man, this was fantastic, man. As always, man. Let my viewers know where they can
Yeah.
follow you. If they ain't following you, they crazy, but let them know where they can follow you on social media if they're not.
Man, guys, my name is Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith. I am 23 years old from Louisville, Kentucky. I am the savior of the fight game, the leader of the Renaissance. I really do believe that. You can follow me on Instagram, on all social medias at Stuntman Official. I'm super active on Instagram and TikTok. Guys, there's so much more to me than just boxing. I always say that. I love to cook. I have a series on my Instagram called Chef Ebby. You know, I love to whip up everything I can literally cook anything. Um, I love to play golf. I love to fish. I'm a real Kentucky boy, you know, so I like to fish. You know, I like to bass fish, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass. I like to play golf, man. I just now broke 80 for the first time ever. That was an incredible feeling. So yeah, man. Follow me on Instagram or any social media platform, Stuntman Official. I'll see you guys next time. Johnny, thank you so much for having me, brother.
You're always welcome here. You family, man. You family. We'll get you with you. I'm gonna be texting you over the weekend, over the fights. Let's do it. I may do something over the weekend to recap. So if you're available, you can jump on, man.
Bro, we got some good predictions. I'm curious to see what our percentage is.
Yep, for sure, for sure. So I'm gonna reach out to you and we stay in touch, man. I appreciate you, my
Absolutely.
brother.
Yes, sir. You be safe, brother. Chat, appreciate y'all. Y'all be safe.
You got it, man. There you have it, man. My brother was in the building. Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith. He's one hell of a prospect, man. At 154, man, he's undefeated, 5-0, a lot of confidence, a lot of skills. I love his mentality, man. He's a man of God. He's smart. He loves to break down fights. I mean, I love having him on the channel, and I'm just happy, you know, to be able to call him a friend. More importantly, just to have a little part of that journey, man. Like I said, you know, I love to rock with the young guys, man. I love to rock with the young guys because in this business right now, what I'm doing, I'm a young guy. I'm a prospect too, man. I'm a prospect that is trying to work myself up the ranks to title contention to be pound for pound one of the best in podcasting. I'm telling you, I'm coming. The hangout spot is coming. We doing it up, man. We putting in the work, man. Yesterday, we were at the Pro Box facility. I spent some time with Erickson the Hammer Lubin. He's going to be fighting on May 10th, the main event. IBF title eliminated at 154. The winner against him and Audra Holmes, who's undefeated. No love lost there. They've had, their whole back and forth. If you've been following Lubin, there was a back and forth that just happened in Vegas during some kind of a media workout. There's no love lost there. They go back to the amateurs. I actually interviewed Erickson Lubin yesterday. It's a fantastic interview, about 25 minutes ringside. I haven't released it yet, but I'm going to be releasing it tomorrow. Again, I got to make it pretty. I got to edit it up a little bit, but I'm going to be releasing that tomorrow. He gets really, really in depth, not just on this fight, but his career. This is another title eliminator. I mean, the winner of this fight potentially gets a title shot at the IBF title against Bakram Mutatalliev. You know what I'm saying? A guy at 154 that knocked out Tim Tszyu, nobody's talking about. And Lubin wants that strap at 154. He's hungry. He talks about it. He talks about some of the mistakes that he made. He talks about the Charlo fight. I asked him some good questions about that fight. So y'all not going to want to miss this, man. So make sure y'all check it out. Once I drop it, you know the deal. I drop my links on my new interviews on my IG. If you ain't following me on IG, make sure you follow me at the Hangout Spot on IG. If you haven't smashed that like button, make sure you do that. It's sin if you have not done that. If you have not subscribed to the Hangout Spot, more importantly, if you have not told a friend to tell a friend to subscribe to the Hangout Spot, make sure you do that. We're looking for bigger and better things. We're trying to turn this train into a locomotive. Like I said, I'm a prospect right now, but we are looking to work ourselves up the ranks into title contention. It's exciting. I appreciate everybody in the chat. That was a great interview, man. Like I said, with Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith. I love having him on. Great questions too. I was trying to sift through the chats, but I appreciate you guys getting involved. But we ain't over, man. We ain't checking out, man, because we got a big boxing weekend coming up. Also, let me see how the poll is looking. Right now, you got 38% with Devin Haney being the fight that they're looking most forward to. So the question in the poll was, which fight are you looking forward to the most? Or actually the host, because I spelled it wrong. So I apologize for that. You got Devin Haney against Ramirez at 36%. You got Ryan and Roley has creeped up to number 2 at 32%. Wow. And then you got Teofimo and Barboza at 23%. Canelo and Skull, a nasty 9%.
This is nasty.
Like, nobody really wants to see Canelo against Skull, man. That's nasty work, bro. But I think I know why, man, because everybody's thinking that Canelo's just going to walk through this guy. Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith seems to think that this fight is going to be a lot closer than people think, and it may be. I don't think Canelo stops him because Canelo's not really stopping anybody anymore, but I think Canelo outclasses him and wins this fight by unanimous decision. And then he's on to that potential Canelo Crawford fight in September, where he's going to be undisputed for the second time at 168, and then Crawford has an opportunity to win another undisputed crown at another weight class, 2 weight classes above his normal weight class now, which is at 154. He's moving up to 168. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shit plays out. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, everybody wants to see what Devin Haney, 39% now. Devin Haney against Ramirez. That's the fight you're looking most forward to this weekend. Ryan Roley is at 30%. So again, Ryan Roley has the potential to have a lot of fireworks in it. 2 punchers. So, that may be the most entertaining one. Me personally, I'm looking forward to Teo against Barboza. That's the fight I'm looking forward to the most. That's the fight that I believe has the most potential to be an upset because everybody's picking Teo. Obviously, everybody's going to pick Devin against Ramirez. Everybody's going to pick Ryan against Roley. Everybody's going to pick mostly Teofimo against Barboza. Those are going to be the favorites. So out of those 3, I think Teofimo and Barboza has the potential to be the upset, special of the night. Because I do think, and y'all could call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but I do think that there's going to be at least one upset. And if there isn't, then I'm wrong. But you know how it works in boxing. There's always an upset, man. Something that we didn't expect to see that we saw. That we're like, yo, what the fuck just happened there? You know what I mean? So, and I think upsets are really good for boxing. I'm not rooting for the upset. I'm actually picking Teo to win that fight. I'm picking Devin to win by decision. I'm picking Ryan to win by stoppage. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. We got my man, Wax. What's going on, Wax? Thanks for rocking out. thanks for rocking out, man. This was a fantastic interview early on with Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith. I don't even know if I would call it an interview because he's family. So when I bring him on here, we chopping it up about his fight that he won on the 19th. You know, we talking about the Chris Eubank and Conor Benn recap. We talking about his preview and predictions on the fights that are happening this weekend, man. That was more of a conversation. When I bring people on here in the Hangout spot to interview, it's not really an interview, man. It's just a hangout. It's a conversation, man, between two people that love boxing. And hopefully you guys see it the same way because I treat my chat members the same way, man. You guys are welcome. You guys are family here at the Hangout spot, man. You guys are family here at the Hangout spot, man. Let's see what else we got up in the chat, man. Sorry I couldn't sift through these while we were going along. The Oxygen, what's up, champ? Appreciate you. 168 and 175 was dried. I think that was what we were talking about earlier. In the earlier conversation with Stuntman Griffith. Coach Marcus Walker, appreciate you, Coach. Much love, man. You know you family. The card is going to be dope. Absolutely. I can't wait. Coach, I want to get your take on it as well. I'm gonna text you, Coach. I need to get your take on what you think is going to happen this Friday night, man, because it's going to be epic. And if I do a recap show, I may get you on for a bit. I may get Ebenezer on. I may get Cam. You know, we might do it up this weekend. So I'll keep in touch with you. We got my man Mikhail, Team Slimy. We got Toledo Trees was turned last weekend for the Golden Gloves. Great show. They made me want to do a T-Town bounce. Okay, so you guys were going back and forth on your own conversation. Ed S, what's going on? Ed, I thought the pay-per-view was 25. Now they 45. Yo, you right, man. That's nasty, bro. Turkey said he was going to be giving us $25 pay-per-views, bro. What's going on, bro? What is going on?
This is nasty.
This is like what's going on, man? What's going on? We were supposed to get $25 pay-per-views. We got it for this fight on the weekend with Eubank and Benn, which is a fight realistically that was more popular in the UK, not really for the United States. The undercard was underwhelming, in my opinion, on paper, and I didn't really appreciate it watching it. The best fight of the card was the main event. So he charges $25, but why aren't these $25? I believe that these in a bundle are like $90 if you want to buy them both. In a bundle, it's like $90 on the zone. But yo, you're right. Ed, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you for calling that out. Turkey is playing us, man. Clarissa, what's going on, Clarissa? Thanks for rocking out here. Usyk arguably lost both times to Fury. Oh, well, there's a lot of people that think that those fights are closer than what they were. I mean, the first fight was close. The second fight, I would probably lean towards Usyk, but you know what? I gotta go back. They were close, man. They were close. So you're right, Clarissa. A lot of people may think that Fury might have won one or maybe two of those. I know. Yep. Nigerian Nightmare, my brother. Appreciate you and appreciate the donation, bro. You my guy, man. You are my guy. Weedy, what's up, champ? Salute to you, man. Salute to you. We are rocking out at the Hangout spot here on a Tuesday. Let's not forget, we're going to do 3 shows this week, probably. We're going tomorrow. And we're going Thursday because we got hella fights this week. And tomorrow, I think I'm going to do a call-in show. I'm going to throw the link out in the chat. And I want you guys to chime in, man. I'm going to bring you on the screen for a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, and keep it flowing. I want to get your predictions. I want to get what fight you're looking forward to the most and why. What you think might be the upset of the weekend. So I'm going to do a call-in show, man. We're going to give it a shot. We're not going to do it by phone. We're going to do it by link. Have you guys jump on here real quick, and give your prediction. So we're going to do a call-in show. And then Thursday, I'm trying to get WBO president again, Gustavo Olivetti. He reached out to me. We're trying to set that up. But if we don't set that up, he said Thursday might be good. So I'm going to contact him again tomorrow. If we could get him on, we'll get him on Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if we can't, don't matter. We'll rock out here in the studio, solo dolo, with my family members, and we'll do another call-in show. We'll have you guys chime in. This weekend is going to be epic. Not just Friday. We got Saturday with the card in Saudi Arabia that's headlined by Canelo. Then we got Sunday. Inoue makes his, the monster, Naoya Inoue, makes his return to the United States in Vegas on Sunday. We got boxing all weekend, so there's always going to be something that I need you guys to chime in on. I don't want to talk by myself tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to try our first call-in show. So make sure if you guys ain't busy, mark your calendars, man. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at the Hangout Spot. We're doing a call-in show. Make sure y'all tune in, and I definitely want you guys to show some love and support. Definitely show some love and support, man, and chime in and give me your opinions on those fights. Usyk didn't lose either of those fights. There you go. I mean, again, I thought Usyk won those fights as well, but you know, there are people out there that might seem like Tyson Fury, you know, maybe won one of those fights, but I think they got it right. I do as well. Stop it. Usyk had Fury doing the stanky leg at the end of the first fight. Yeah, absolutely. I think Usyk won that first fight, hands down. The second fight, maybe there might be people that think it was closer, but I think they got it right both times. I gotta agree. Clarissa, I gotta agree. I gotta agree with them. But you know, you my sister. Usyk should fight Parker for his last fight. May happen, Wax. See what happens if he beats Dubois. I think that's the only fight to make that makes the most sense that we're gonna want to see. And if he does that, man, hands down, bro, this dude has did everything that he possibly could do at the heavyweight division. And this is a small heavyweight. You know, some people may say he's a blown up cruiserweight, but the skills pay the bills, bro. I love watching Usyk fight, man, especially at his weight, you know, in heavyweight with the footwork, the boxing movement, the head movement. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to watch, man. Clarissa said, so you guys are going back and forth. Doesn't matter if you do the stanky leg. It's a point system round by round. Shout out to my chat, man. Y'all going back and forth with each other. I love it. I love it. You're exactly correct. You can tell me the first criteria of judging. You can tell me the first criteria of judging a professional boxing match. Can you tell me? Oh, okay. So you guys are going back and forth. You're going back and forth. Okay, Mikhail, you're going back and forth with Carissa. I hear that. Weedy, appreciate you, brother. Great question. I saw that pop up, and that was a question that I asked Stuntman at the end, right? About 154. How comfortable he is there, and how many fights does he anticipate before he feels he's ready for a title shot? Because he's a confident young man in his skills. And you saw he talked about Erickson Lubin possibly wanting that fight, and that's a guy with a lot of experience. Erickson Lubin is, if he wins this fight on May 10th, he's going, he's in line for a title shot against Bakram at 154. So we had to throw that out there to my brother. Mikhail here, I tell you, if you don't know, the first criteria of judging a professional boxing match is effectiveness of punch. So so you guys are going back and forth on Clarissa's comment about Usyk and Fury. Weedy, bro, I only do saltwater fishing. Man, I wish I could get into fishing, man. I live in Florida. It's the fishing capital of the world, but, I haven't got no time. Plus, it's a little, I kind of consider it a little boring, but very relaxing. Very, very relaxing. The next criteria is ring generalship. You are absolutely correct. Alberto's in the building. What's up, Alberto? What's going on, man? Thanks for rocking out with us here on a Thursday night. Salute, salute. He is a student of the game for sure. Nigerian Nightmare. Yeah, man. Ebenezer, absolutely a student of the game. I love getting him on. He studies fights. I love the way he breaks them down. I love his opinions and reviews. He's going to be a regular on here, man. And we're going to be here at the Hangout Spot to see his growth, man. Wouldn't it be fantastic, bro? We've been rocking with this dude since day one, and we're along for the ride, and this guy wins a world title, and he becomes a star in the sport, man. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, bro. It's going to be fantastic because we all going to be attached to him. The whole community, all of us, man. All of us, man, because he family. I grew up with Lubin dad and Val Saint dad, Weedy. Yeah, Val Saint's my dude. He's also fighting on that undercard May 10th, Kissimmee, Florida. That Pro Box card is going to be absolutely fire. You know the deal. The Hangout Spot will be live and direct in the building, putting in that work, boots to ground, trying to get footage and interviews with fighters, trainers that night. Yesterday was a great night. I actually got to witness a bunch of rounds that Lubin was sparring yesterday, putting in that work. He looked really, really sharp. He looked really focused. I did a nice interview with him after all the sparring, and I'm going to be releasing that tomorrow on my channel. And I also did an interview with light heavyweight prospect who's going to be fighting on that undercard as well. Najee Lopez, 13-0 with 10 knockouts. He's fighting against a Mexican that has a 90% knockout ratio, 2 big punchers. Mexico against Puerto Rico, it's not going to disappoint. Darrell Blasval Saint will be on that undercard as well. He's a technician, bro. This kid can do it all. He's another big prospect at 154, 160, around that weight range. And we got Dominic Valle, super featherweight prospect, who's 10-0 with 7 knockouts. Also trained by my guy, Mark Ferre. We had him on last week. He's going to be on that card as well. That card is going to be must-see TV next Saturday, May 10th. I mean, boxing is on fire right now. from now until the end of the summer. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are just as excited as I am. The Midwest shows out for the boxing. Absolutely. Treese does it for his boxing. Always representing the Midwest, man. I can't front, man. Clarissa, you guys are talking about. So you guys are going back and forth. So I'll kind of skip over those. Date Blues. What up, bro?
Straight cash, homie.
Appreciate you rocking out, man. Appreciate you. How do you feel about your Jets draft this year? I don't know how to feel about that, Treese. Listen, the first round pick was not a sexy pick, but it was a position of need, right? You need another tackle on the other side. So now we got our bookends. I'm a big football guy. For those of you guys that don't know, I actually started doing football content at the Hangout spot, and but you know, boxing is my first true love. So I had to transition and go full-time boxing, especially while I was getting traction. I only started doing boxing. I started doing boxing content probably in the end of February, beginning of March, maybe, or end of March. And here we are, a full year later, and we're doing big things here. So boxing is my niche, is my forte. I love talking about it. I'm passionate about it. But I do love football. So what we're thinking about doing is a football live show Sunday nights, where we're going to talk about football. I'll do a call-in show where you guys can call in and talk about your teams. And we can debate and we can have a good time. So it's something I'm thinking about doing starting in the summer before the season starts. But Treese, getting back to your questions, I don't know. I think the first pick could be good. They picked up another tight end. I saw that. I mean, you know, I don't know. To be determined, man. You know, incomplete grade. We got to see. I'm more concerned with the coaching staff because that's what I think is the Jets' issue. We need a good, solid coaching staff, you know, that holds their players accountable and can work on player development, man. That's what we haven't had. So, you know, on paper, I guess it's okay. But me, I'm one of those. You got to show me on the field, bro. Yayin, what up? Yayin. Hopefully I said that right. What's going on, champ? What is popping, bro? What is popping? I gave you an example. We beat him the whole fight, so you guys are still going, but you guys were going back and forth. I'm not even a Fury fan. I was actually rooting for Usyk. You are those fans who think someone being hurt wins a fight. So, this is just a clean debate going on in the chat between my chat members. So, y'all got to keep that energy going. I love it. I love it. Not really. I'm a fan at all. I'm a fighter. Okay, so this is again. Here we go again with another fabricated TW the Surf one. No Mexican rule boxing, so they're trying to recruit anyone on a level higher player field. Y'all gotta play nice, man. Y'all gotta play nice with each other, bro. We all family up in here, man. We all family up in here. The rest of those chats are debate going back and forth with Clarissa and the group about the Usyk and Fury 2 fights. Alberto, let's go. I'm ready to call in Johnny. Yeah, we're gonna do some calling stuff starting tomorrow. I'm gonna be your first call, Johnny. All right. That's what's up, Alberto. Yeah. I'll throw the link out tomorrow. Get some callers going. Appreciate you, Weedy. Yeah, definitely I want my family to come out, man. This is the first call-in show we doing, so we got to do it up right. We got to do it up right tomorrow. And I just want, I don't want to be talking up here by myself about these fights. I want my callers, I want my chat to get involved, you know what I'm saying? And give me your take, your predictions, your what you think is going to be the fight of the night on Friday, or I'm sorry, the fight of the weekend. Let's go back to our poll. We're going to end it right here, but we got Devin and Ramirez. Right now, 40% of you think that is the fight that you are looking forward to the most. Ryan Rowley is second at 32%. Teofimo Barboza is third with 20%. And Skull and Canelo is 8%. That shit didn't even make it to double digits. This
is nasty.
Nasty work, bro. And it goes to show you, man, that's not the fights we want to see, Canelo. But, we'll see. We would have preferred to see you against Benavidez this weekend, bro. Cinco de Mayo. That would have been dope. That would have been fire. Instead, we get William Skull. And we know the deal. Second undisputed. And then we go against Crawford, for another undisputed crown in September in a big money fight that Turkey Al-Sheikh is looking to put together. So I know why. It's just not the fight that none of us fight fans wanted to see. We want to see Canelo against Benavidez. Until we see that, we're going to keep clamoring about it. But yeah, we'll do it up tomorrow. The same bat time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at the Hangout spot. Call-in show. We'll kind of limit to the calls to maybe about 4 or 5 minutes. Let you guys say your piece, and then we move on to the next caller. Bring you up for a little bit, move on to the next caller. You know, I want to kind of keep the flow going, the mojo going. But this was a great interview today. Great show. Ebenezer Stuntman Griffith was here. I appreciate all of y'all in the chat for rocking out. I appreciate, this is Macau said, I'm watching Williams go right now just to get more familiar. This will be interesting. Yeah, I mean, he's a crafty fighter. He's a crafty fighter. So I don't think Canelo stops him at all. I think that a lot of people are overlooking Skull. I just don't think he wins the fight. I think Canelo's a better fighter. But I think I think Skull is going to put up a better fight than most people expect. It's just not on paper the fight that we all wanted to see. But shout out to Skull, man. People are discounting him. And again, you fight the fights in the ring, not on paper. You know, so we'll see. You know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, tomorrow, 9 p.m., make sure y'all tune in. Call in show. We're going to give that a shot. The Nigerian Nightmare said that will be fire. Yeah, we're going to give it a shot, bro. The football talk mixed in. We're going to give that a shot as well. We got to show football some love, bro. And we'll probably do a separate show just for that. Like I said, Sunday nights, I think, will be an awesome call-in show. All the games that pass, we do a nice call-in show. We debate. We talk shit. I think it's going to be dope, man. There's a lot of different ideas I'm thinking about. But, you know, I'll get your feedback. I'll get the community's feedback on what we feel should be the best way to go about it. But we're going to make a football show happen as well. We got my man Rob on the check-in. Shout out to you, Rob. Appreciate you rocking out. But we're going to do this again, man. I'm going to tap out, man. It's been a great show. Appreciate the love and support. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. call-in show where we're going to talk about this weekend's fight. So prepare yourself for that. And as always, this is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout spot. Much love. Appreciate the donations. And I will talk to everybody tomorrow. Peace.